Do you ever feel your heart race at night for no reason? Your mind spins with questions, what ifs, and fears you can't quite name? That's anxiety, the invisible tyrant that tightens its grip when the world goes quiet. But what if I told you that a man who lived over 2,000 years ago understood this feeling better than most therapists today? And more importantly, he left us a practical roadmap to deal with it. Today we're diving deep into the Stoic wisdom of Lucius Annaeus Seneca, the Roman philosopher who not only studied anxiety, he battled it in the chaos of political danger, exile, and even the threat of execution. This is Dealing with Anxiety, the Seneca Way. Part 1: Anxiety, a mental time traveler. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." That single line reveals the Stoic understanding of anxiety. It's not just fear, it's fear magnified by our imagination. Anxiety is what happens when we mentally time travel into the future, predict the worst, and then suffer as if it's already happening. We rehearse tragedies that haven't occurred. We panic about possibilities instead of realities. And in doing so, we rob ourselves of peace in the present. Seneca called this anticipatory anxiety, the mental habit of living in fear of what might be. He wrote, "There are more things likely to frighten us than there are to crush us. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." This wasn't just theory. Seneca lived under the rule of Nero, one of the most unstable emperors in Roman history. Every day could have been his last, yet he found a way to train his mind, not to be fearless, but to master fear. Part 2: Premeditatio malorum. Anticipate, don't obsess. One of Seneca's core Stoic practices was something called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. At first glance, this sounds like the opposite of calming anxiety. Why would you deliberately think about worst-case scenarios? Because there's a difference between catastrophizing and preparation. Seneca recommended imagining negative outcomes on purpose, but not to panic. Instead, to rob them of their power. He wrote, "He robs present ills of their power who has perceived their coming beforehand." By calmly contemplating potential setbacks, we turn anxiety into awareness. Fear becomes familiarity. We stop seeing challenges as monsters in the dark and start seeing them as problems to manage. This is not about dwelling on doom. It's about saying, if this happens, I know how I'll respond. So when you feel anxious, take a breath and ask, what exactly am I afraid of? What's the worst-case scenario? If it happened, what would I do? This gives your mind a plan, and where there is a plan, panic cannot grow. Part 3: Focusing on what's in our control. Anxiety thrives on control, or rather the illusion of it. We get anxious when we try to predict outcomes we can't control. We worry about what others will say, what might happen tomorrow, or whether we'll succeed or fail. Seneca, like all Stoics, drew a sharp line. Some things are up to us, others are not. He wrote, "The wise man looks to the purpose of all actions, not to the consequences. The beginning is in our own power. Fortune decides the issue." In other words, do your part, accept the rest. This is the core Stoic cure for anxiety. Control what you can. Let go of what you can't. When you feel overwhelmed, try this. List your worries. Separate them into 2 columns: in my control and out of my control. Commit to action on what you can control. Release the rest. This practice doesn't just reduce anxiety, it reclaims your personal power. Because the truth is, we don't need certainty to be calm. We just need clarity about where our responsibility ends. Part 4. The role of reason. Seneca believed that anxiety is not just emotional, it's intellectual. Fear clouds our reason, and when reason returns, fear retreats. He wrote, "What I advise you to do is not to be unhappy before the crisis comes. Some things torment us more than they ought, some torment us before they ought, and some torment us when they ought not to torment us at all." Seneca's prescription? Use reason to talk back to fear. When anxious thoughts arise, don't accept them as truth. Question them, interrogate them. Ask, is this fear based on fact or imagination? Is there evidence for this outcome? What would I tell a friend in this situation? Seneca treated the mind like a courtroom. Let reason be the judge, not panic. By doing this, you create emotional distance. You stop being the fear and start observing it. This shift is powerful because when we see thoughts as just thoughts, they lose their grip. Part 5. The power of daily reflection. One of Seneca's most powerful tools against anxiety wasn't dramatic. It was routine. At the end of each day, he would sit quietly and review. What did I do today? Where did I act wisely? Where did I let fear control me? How can I improve tomorrow? He wrote, when the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day. I hide nothing from myself. I pass nothing by. For why should I fear any of my errors when I can say, take care not to do this again. This time I forgive you. This act of nightly journaling is a Stoic detox. It clears the mental clutter. It replaces anxiety with awareness, and it builds self-trust, the antidote to chronic worry. So try this tonight. Before bed, write down what you feared today, what happened, and what you learned. You'll sleep lighter and live stronger tomorrow. Part 6. Accepting mortality and living freely. Seneca didn't believe in ignoring death. He believed in facing it, because that's what sets us free. He wrote, "He who fears death will never do anything worthy of a man who is alive." Anxiety often stems from one ultimate fear, that something will end. Our careers, our relationships, our lives. But Seneca urged us to remember, we are not promised anything except this moment. By accepting mortality, we stop clinging. We begin to live. He wrote, "Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. The one who puts the finishing touches on their life each day is never short of time." That is the Stoic way to end anxiety, not by guaranteeing more life, but by living today as if it were enough. Anxiety isn't weakness, it's a signal. It means your mind is reaching for safety in an unsafe world. Seneca didn't deny this, he embraced it. But he also taught us that we don't have to be slaves to fear. We can train our minds. We can talk back to worry. We can live fully without being crushed by what-ifs. So the next time anxiety visits, welcome it, listen, and then gently remind it, I am prepared. I am in control of myself. I am free. Because that's what Seneca would do, and now, so can you.